The first balance changes of 2021 have been announced. Let's tell you everything you need to know. Welcome back to the channel then, guys. I'm your host, Judo Sloth. You might have guessed it, we had a discussion a couple of days ago about the balance within Clash of Clans, and within that video, we all agreed and tried to problem solve the issue around super wizards. They are incredibly strong, and it is not surprising to me that the super wizards are the primary focus of this balance change. But what exactly are they doing? Well, the mechanics of the super wizard is that it provides an initial strike to the target with secondary bolts that provide lesser damage to up to 10 surrounding targets. It is the secondary bolts that are getting decreased. Before these balance changes, the super wizards did 100% damage to the initial target and 60% damage to any surrounding targets. That means that the super wizard was not able to take out buildings that were equal in hit points. It would have to go and retarget onto those secondary buildings. The super wizard was always only ever able to chain through a one tile gap. That is not changing, but the secondary bolts will be decreased from 60% damage down to 40% damage. What this means is it should have a pretty big impact on the super wizard blimp, because you do try and take down multiple buildings within an area, and think about it, if the surrounding buildings around the initial target have essentially 20% more health, then it's going to take your super wizard longer to get through those buildings once it targets onto them, and then providing lesser damage to the buildings around those targets. So pardon the pun, but the balance change should have a chain effect in magnitude as the super wizards move through the base. Now, there are more balance changes coming that I will discuss alongside when we can expect these changes, including one that does have a pretty big impact on the super wizards. But in terms of the super wizards themselves, the only change we are getting is the decrease in secondary bolt damage. I honestly think this is a good thing. It is the main solution that we came up with in that video where we discussed the overall balance of the game. I will link you across to that at the end of this video. We discussed a lot of other things that are not getting changed, so you can let me know if you agree. But what this means is hopefully they're not going to over-nerf the super wizard and just get everyone frustrated that enjoys using it, like myself. They can always provide even more balance changes later down the line if this nerf is not enough. I want to quickly say as well that this was the solution I agreed on in the other video in terms of the decreased secondary bolts, but also I suggested another trap, such as a second tornado trap, which is not coming. But I did want to acknowledge that from speaking with you, my subscribers, in the comments of that video, I do agree it's probably not the best solution. It would be frustrating, in fact. There was a lot of people telling me that, and one thing I hadn't thought of that you pointed out was that it would be a buff to miners that I hadn't really thought about. So I agree, a second tornado trap probably isn't the best solution, to be honest, and hence why it's not coming. If you want to be involved with such discussions in the future though, as well as seeing my educational but entertaining Clash of Clans videos, I would recommend subscribing and turning on the notification bell. I did mention there were no other changes to the super wizard, but there is a change to defense in terms of the small bomb, which will have a huge impact on the super wizard blimp. And I really like this change because it doesn't necessarily impact the super wizards themselves if they are used in a separate technique, such as the super wizard avalanche we've been seeing. But this will provide a direct counter to the super wizard blimp. So what on earth am I talking about? Well, currently the damage of a level 9 bomb, the small bomb, is 112 damage. This is getting increased to 125 damage, a pretty significant increase because the hit points of a giant bomb at level 7 is 375. That will mean that a giant bomb in combination with a small bomb provides 500 damage. Let's take a look at the hit points of a super wizard. You guessed it, 500 hit points. This is huge, my friends. It means that if you place a giant bomb and a small bomb together in an area where you are maybe trying to bait the super wizard blimp, then you can one-shot the super wizards. And it means that there is nothing the opponent can do. The attacker has lost the super wizards. They don't get a second chance. But it's very unlikely that if you were using the super wizards in a regular attack, that they would run over and trigger themselves the giant bomb and the small bomb. That would probably be triggered by a golem. So it's a really good way of directly nerfing the super wizard blimp whilst not nerfing the super wizards. And I don't think within that balance video we talked about, anybody came up with this, but that's where the Clash of Clans team, like I said in that video, always come up with creative ways to keep the game balanced. There are other balance changes coming to the super troops, but in terms of the super wizard, that is all of the changes we are getting. And I personally think they are really good changes. They should have the desired effect. You can let me know what you think in the comments, but Beaker is going to be extremely happy about the next balance change. You guessed it. It's for these super archers, my friends. Currently, they have 500 hit points, and they are getting an increase to 510. Now, I think this is absolutely to do with the changes that just happened for the super wizards, because these super archers, although it's unlikely they would walk over a small bomb and a giant bomb, that would be devastating. You don't want to nerf the super archers, especially when my good friend Beaker uses them so much. Be sure to show Beaker some love as well. I'll have his channel linked down in the description. Tell him hi from me, but we don't want to see the super archers getting nerfed. 510 hit points to mean that she cannot be taken out by the small bomb and the giant bomb. Granted, she has a tiny little bit of health left. There are a couple of other minor changes coming, but I want to quickly say on the changes we've heard for the super archers that it should show to you how difficult balance changes can be. The Clash of Clans team have to take into account every single troop, every single strategy. If they are trying to buff or nerf one specific thing, it's not as clear-cut as just increase it or decrease it, because it could have a big impact on other things. But let's get to the next balance changes. The Grand Warden is on the list. Now, the Grand Warden, particularly his AI, is often a discussion point, let's say. But I do think it's admirable that the team try to adjust every little thing to perfect our game. The adjustment for the Grand Warden's AI is with regards to siege machines, specifically the log launcher and the battle blimp. Now, I can't necessarily explain exactly how this is going to work, but what they have said is they have adjusted the Grand Warden's priority to follow the log launcher or the battle blimp to reduce the chance of him following them in a deadly run towards the town hall. So what I think that means is he's less likely to follow the log launcher and the battle blimp so long as there's other troops in that area. Since they can activate the town hall, he might leave the troops and be the first person in the firing line. So he's probably got less chance of following those siege machines. We also need to tell you when we can expect the balance changes, but there were two visual changes also announced. Firstly, for the geared up arch tower, they have fixed the initial projectile coordinate. I have no idea what that means, but there you go. Also, for the level 11 air defense, they have fixed the hit effect. Obviously a visual bug, I didn't even realize that it was there in the game, but it will be live with the balance changes. Whilst the balance changes have been announced, you know what is coming to the game. They are not live in the game just yet, so if you do enjoy using the Super Wizard Blimp like I do, or you haven't tried it yet, you should try it because it's incredibly powerful. you can still use it for a limited time. What the team have said is there will be a maintenance break next week in which the balance changes are released. So there will not be an update. You don't need to download anything. A maintenance break will provide the balance changes. Also, just a bit of a heads up for anyone that might be wondering, with this maintenance break, I believe replays will be gone. Now, let me quickly explain why. A replay is not stored, it is replayed. So what happens is the game stores the code of you deployed X troop here, and it replays what happened. So if there is any balance changes whereby, let's say the Super Wizard Blimp, it worked, the attack was a 3-star, but the Super Wizards did hit a giant bomb and a small bomb, they weren't taken out in that attack, the attack continued, now they would get taken out, the replay would be a different outcome. So that's where, if a maintenance break includes any balance changes and changes that would impact the outcome of set replays, they will be wiped so that you can't watch a 3-star that's not a 3-star, if that makes sense. So that's all the balance changes. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you do want to see what we thought as my subscribers needed balanced in Clash of Clans, I have the video linked right there with the subscribe button. Take care, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.